Hi, Ken. Welcome to this interview. Thank you so much for joining us for this special opportunity to speak more thoroughly about the right to repair. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks, Quentin.
So,
Um, Go ahead.
yeah, so we are really we met at our repair cafe, and I was really curious to learn more about the right to repair, which is really like a whole world, and it seems that you really know a lot about this. So, would you mind sharing about this big important movement in Canada?
Certainly, yeah, I'd be happy to. So, as you mentioned, Quentin, we met at a repair cafe, one that you'd organized in Rexford, and so I'm a volunteer for Repair Cafe Toronto, and I've been doing that since 2016. But I'm also involved with another organization called the Canadian Repair Coalition, or it's just usually called Can Repair. And I've been with them for about a year. So, volunteering with Repair Cafe Toronto led to my involvement with Can Repair, as they wanted someone to be a liaison between the two organizations. Um, so, as you know, Repair Cafe Toronto is a grassroots volunteer organization that holds repair events all over the GTA. Volunteer fixers like myself attend scheduled repair events called cafes and repair broken objects brought in by the people in the community where the cafe is being held. So, Repair Cafe Toronto had 140 events this past year at 40 different locations in the GTA, which I think is quite an astounding set of statistics. The Canadian Repair Coalition, however, approaches repair issues from a different angle. It's a nonprofit organization that develops proposals to encourage the federal and provincial governments to pass laws that support right to repair ideology in Canada. So my interest in the right to repair movement started when I was working. I'm a retired professor, formerly teaching at OCAD University and George Brown College, as well as some other institutions. And I was trained as a goldsmith, and I taught among many other courses, a jewelry repair course at George Brown College. So in the early 2010s, I started to read more about the right to repair movement. Websites like Mr. Jalopy and Platform 21, which is a Dutch website, published repair manifestos that I was intrigued with. These repair manifestos embodied a lot of my personal values around conservation and environmental concerns. And I ended up writing my own article on repair for Studio Magazine, documenting my experiences with repair. Maintained my interest in the right to repair movement to this day and have opportunities to advocate for it through my volunteer work.
Thank you, Ken. So can you tell me more and tell us what's the right to repair movement and why is it so important for you, but also for the community in Canada?
Yeah. I think maybe the best way to explain the right to repair movement is by quoting the repair manifesto I was just speaking about. It's currently on the iFixit website. And by the way, the links for the websites that I'll be mentioning, I'm imagining you're going to be posting with the interview.
Yes.
If you can't fix it, you don't own it. That's the quote. This applies to a lot of equipment, phones, computers, tablets, cars, appliances, all of which are either computers or contain computerized controls. If they break, you're not likely to be able to open them for the purpose of repair, and as they were designed to prevent you from doing so, you are forced to have them repaired by the original equipment manufacturer. That is, if they still service your product and if they still make parts for it. They will often simply recommend that you just buy a new one. This is a very wasteful paradigm as it takes a lot of energy and raw materials and resources to produce a new product. It would be much more efficient to repair the broken product. Again, to quote the Repair Manifesto, repair is better than recycling, saves you money, teaches engineering, connects people and things, is sustainable, and among other things, saves the planet. The motto of Repair Cafe Toronto is toss it away, no way. Can Repair also has a pretty good definition of right to repair on their website.
So yeah, I love how it's complex and diverse. There is so much in that. Thank you, Ken. Can you comment about the current situation, like the legal situation, and about the recent elections that we had at the federal level in Canada?
Yeah. Um, I manage a right to repair bulletin board on the Repair Cafe Toronto's website, and I've reported on recent legislative success in Canada and around the world. The most notable developments last April, and this is huge. Last April, the European Parliament voted overwhelmingly to adopt legislation that would enshrine various principles of the right to repair agenda into law for the European Union. That means each EU member country will have until April 2026 to enact those directives into law. Similarly, various advocacy groups in the US have right to repair legislation passed or pending in all 50 states. Here in Canada, Can Repair, the organization that I mentioned, has had some major successes in amendments to Canada's copyright laws. Two bills were recently passed last November. Bill C-2404, which deals with an important issue called technical protection measures, or TPMs. These are digital locks that manufacturers put on their equipment to prevent access for repair. They'll now have to provide the keys for these digital locks for the purposes of repair. And Bill C-294 deals with interoperability, which allows equipment to operate with parts and accessories not made by the original equipment manufacturer. These are both important first steps, but more legislation has to happen both at the provincial and federal levels. This journey has just begun. In terms of how right to repair might have been reflected in the recent federal election, I doubt it was, as federal provincial politicians are focused on Donald Trump's trade war. However, Canadian science fiction writer Cory Doctorow recently published an editorial article on his website and on the website for the Centre for Canadian Policy Alternatives, and it was titled, "What if Canada Stopped Upholding U.S. Tech Companies' Intellectual Property?" It's a really interesting read and a smart response to American tariff threats.
Thank you, Ken. So we'll make sure the link is on with the video as well. So what can people do in Scarborough, in Toronto, even like in Ontario, to support the right to repair movement?
Yeah, so much. People in Scarborough, people anywhere in Canada, we need your help. People lose their power through silence and complacency. Politicians pay attention to people who speak up and know what they're talking about. So, first, educate yourself on the issues and history of the right to repair movement. Good sources of information are the Can Repair website, my bulletin board on the Repair Cafe Toronto website, the Repair Cafe International's website, the Repair Association, which publishes a right to repair brochure, and the iFixit website. They're all really good places to start. Or just type in right to repair in your search engine and see what comes up. You can get involved in a practical level by volunteering as a fixer, as you and I do, or as an apprentice with Repair Cafe Toronto. So you don't have to know everything as a fixer to start with. You can sit beside a fixer and learn as you go. You can also start your own repair cafe in your own neighborhood, and I know you've done that. You can join groups like Can Repair. We're currently seeking new members. It doesn't cost anything, and as you listen and learn, you can make significant contributions to policy and changes to Canadian legislation. That's no small thing. Can Repair is a relatively new organization, and we welcome young people who have an interest in learning more about and participating in the right to repair movement. You can become a member by simply signing up at the Can Repair website. As I said, I'll provide a link. You can also write your MP, your MPP, or even your city councilor and tell them why you support right to repair legislation and ask them to support it in that legislation and initiatives in your community.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna add like well, we started the Repair Cafe in our neighborhood, but when I learned about the right to repair, it made the Repair Cafe even more meaningful because I guess like I understood the bigger picture, and
Yeah.
it really goes really well together, like the political agenda of the right to repair and the everyday community work we do. So thanks for sharing that. At the federal level, Scarborough is mainly led by Liberal MPs and it's been confirmed with the last election. Can you give us a few key arguments that advocates can use to speak to their representative?
Yeah. Um, the Canadian Repair Coalition, or Can Repair, is currently developing policy recommendations for federal and provincial governments to advance right to repair in Canada. These aren't finished yet, but they'll be available soon on the Can Repair website. So check in the coming months, and that they will be enormously useful to individuals and organizations and industry to lobby our governments. Unfortunately, too late for this past federal election, though civic engagement with politicians is an ongoing process. These documents could be used to engage our political leaders at any time. So please check that website for developments. Um, some points that you might use to get a politician's attention would be how right to repair affects product affordability, consumer empowerment, growing small repair businesses, custom parts manufacturing, how it curbs monopolies, how it supports sustainability and waste reduction, and leadership and responsible consumption. Additionally, as the U.S. engages in tariffs, products will become more expensive and repair will become increasingly vital to keep older products going. I would encourage people young and old to get involved in the right to repair movement and speak up about the right to repair. People have more political power than they realize.
Thank you so much, Ken. This was Ken Vickerson, and we'll make sure that all the resource, the website that you mentioned are on the description link. Thank you again for joining us, Ken, and hope to see you at our next Repair Cafe.
Thanks so much for the opportunity, Quentin. Bye bye.